Recording. All right. Well,
we will see if this is a great topic that we're covering.
That's right. So welcome to episode 18 of the Georgie and Patty Show. I am Georgie.
And I'm Patty.
And we are here to share today about how to filter advice. Bullshit or fertilizer? It's our new line. So this is a very close to our heart topic, I would say. So I'm going to give a little preface for our show today that perhaps everyone might want to take a big deep breath before we get started. Just kind of sort of relax yourself a little bit. There may be topics or things that we say in this episode that might trigger you. And I invite you to stay in with us, go to the end, and ask lots of questions. Because I think sometimes, we hear things from us, from other people, and, it can be triggering. So we really want to just kind of really, as my friend Emily says, open the kimono on a lot of things today and really have an open, honest conversation about the advice that we get in our business for sales, for marketing, how to grow, how to do things. And let's just have a really open conversation about what some of these things look like. What are the things that work? What are the things that don't? And as always, it's going to come down to who we really are, what really matters to us, where we are in our business, all of those kinds of things, which leads me perfectly, I believe, into our quote of the day that Patty and I actually thought it was from God, but it's actually from William Shakespeare. So he says, this above all, to thine own self be true. So I encourage you to kind of hold that in your mind as we move through this topic today. And on that note, let the slides begin.
Okie dokie. Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go. Okay. Today's topic is about filtering good advice for bad. Good and bad being relative to your own business, your own situation, your own self. This particular presentation, probably more than any other presentation we ever do, other than maybe the one about levels. Actually, no, this one is the one that could potentially save you the most money, save you the most time and effort, and possibly heartache. And at the same time, as Georgie was mentioning earlier around the triggering, it could also easily be taken as, oh crap, I made a mistake, I made a big mistake, I made an expensive mistake. And invite you to, first of all, this is our permission slip for that. If this is how you feel, is that this is an opportunity to learn and to move on. And in everything we do, there's a reason for. I believe this with all of my heart, that all of the things that we do in our businesses, even the mistakes, even the money that we wish we would have invested differently, it's not necessarily a mistake. It's a point of learning. We might not get out of that investment what we thought we were going to get out of that investment or that decision, but we're going to get something from it. And it's going to be valuable. It's valuable if you let it. It's an opportunity to learn from it and to move on. So this, if anything we say today kind of touches on that, really invite you to look for the learning, take the deep breath, and move on. Today is a new day. Tomorrow is another new day. We can make new decisions moving forward, and we become wiser when we are aware of what's happened. And trust me, you are not. You're not the only one, if any of this stuff applies to you. So as Georgie mentioned earlier, a lot of the advice, a lot of the information, a lot of the courses, a lot of the programs, all of this stuff that is out there, that's kind of on the surface at least, looks like it's designed to help us. For some people, In some situations, it's going to be absolutely brilliant. If you watch the video on levels, if the right advice at the right time can be really, really magical. And it doesn't even have to be a lot of advice or a big ticket program or something. It's reading the right blog post. It could be the right Facebook post. It could be the right book. It could be a comment that somebody makes. It can be a piece of advice you get from your coach. It might just be that one thing, but if the timing is right and you're ready for it and it's the right advice, it's like boom, it's like fertilizer. It can help your business grow faster, almost magically sometimes. Sometimes it can just instantly remove blocks. It can be absolutely brilliant and exactly what you need to hear at the exact right time. And for someone else, that exact same piece of advice could be pure bullshit. Welcome to people vary, businesses vary, context varies. It's like there is no one size fits all kind of advice. So it's really up to you um, to do your best to discern. And Georgie, I'm just going to invite you to say that thing that you were saying about wishing people would think.
Oh, I say this all a lot actually, where I think often we just get so sucked into things, and I just wish people would just stop for a second and just think about the information that you're getting, the advice you're getting, and really, does it work for me? Is it true? It's totally, absolutely acceptable to use the brain in your head. Totally okay. And we are the ones individually that really, really know what works for us or not. And I'm not saying that, yes, ask questions. Yes, get clear. Yes, figure out, am I just scared? Am I coming up against my own stuff and I'm hesitant and resistance because of my fear? But use your brain for that thing too. So I really, it's totally, totally okay to use your brain and think.
And I'm just going to jump in here and just underline this too. This means when you hear stuff from me and Georgie as well, it's like we're not exempt from this. We're doing the best we can to give people the information we believe that they need to hear, but it's up to you to determine whether or not this fits and applies to you as well. So don't exclude us because you happen to be here and maybe you like us or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like we fall into the same kind of category. This is one of the things that I find kind of awkward to navigate is we are in the same category as a lot of bullshit purveyors. So here's, let's just talk about, we're going to start off gently. We're going to move into more dangerous territory as we go on. This is my personal soapbox, by the way. If anything gets under my skin more than this, I haven't yet to see it. But let's start with the stuff that's really fairly easy to discern, the pure bull. Anytime somebody uses these kind of blanket statements like everyone or no one, or declares that something that is truly visibly alive to be dead, or insists that their way is the only way, I'll often hear things like, no one reads anymore, everyone prefers video, email is dead, and an online funnel system is the only way to market. Those are all statements that I hear fairly frequently. And I, as a sample size of one, prefer reading over video, read my email, rely on email, and think online digital funnels are absolutely wonderful for some businesses and a total waste of time and money and effort for others. So if you read something and you go, wow, this doesn't even apply to me, or this doesn't apply to somebody I know, then the person who is saying everyone, no one, or declaring something dead has already started off this little communication by bullshitting you. And I think, personally, I think it says something about their character. Okay? That's me. Okay? So ask yourself, right? Is it true? This is all, kind of like a Byron Katie thing. Is this true? How can I know for sure that it's true? right? This is the quick stop and think, like, is that really true? Everybody needs to be marketing on TikTok. Is that true? Right. So that's a good question to ask. Another thing to do is to look for the hidden agenda. It's pretty easy to see that when people declare that email marketing is dead, it's because they want to sell social media consulting, some other form of marketing. There's a hidden agenda often with this, and sometimes it's just about getting you to click, got you to look, but often, they have something to sell you. Everybody needs to market with an online digital funnel. It's like, who's saying that? Russell Brunson? It's like, they have something, there's a hidden agenda in there. Look for it. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad. It could be what, could be what they're selling might be exactly what you're looking for. It could be the advice really does apply to you. Maybe the people in your market would love to see you on video. Maybe video would be a great way to market your business. Maybe email isn't as responsive for you as it used to be. Maybe you prefer to do that. Lots of reasons to do it. But make them yours, not somebody else's hidden agenda. So kind of sniff out what the agenda is. Okay? In my opinion, is a lovely thing to add when people say that. Email is dead, in my opinion. And I look in my inbox and go, no, it's alive and well in mine. So keep in mind that a lot of times we make very declarative statements, and what we mean is, in my opinion. And this is true for us as well. What you hear from us is our opinion, especially when we, today's topic in particular, we know that other people hold a very, very different opinion from us in this topic. So in my opinion is part of it. And give you another permission slip. You can disagree. You can have your own opinion. Okay? Consider the source. Some sources are more credible than others. This is a big problem we have in our culture, is that expertise is not valued the way it used to be. But think about what kind of credibility, what is the source of this information that's coming? And sometimes it's pretty easy to determine who is the salesperson and who is the expert. And this slide makes it look obvious, but sometimes that expert looks like this or like this. They're often people that we like. This is, we like them. We want to listen to them. We think they're awesome people. They're telling us a lot of stuff. Is it true? Is their background what they say it is, or they spun it a little bit, right? It's like, where does that expertise come from? Is this source worth listening to? What's the experience? What's the expertise? What have they done, right? Perfectly reasonable questions to ask. I was on a call the other day, and the person I was talking to says, what's your experience? What kind of results do you get for your clients? Those are brilliant questions. And, I'll talk about this in a minute. I hate it when people ask me how I do stuff, or, what my personal success looks like. Who cares? It's not relevant. What's relevant is whether or not I can help my clients. It's like, those can be good questions. Ask those questions. What is your experience? What is your credibility? What is this based on? You're telling me to do this stuff or do that. Why are you saying that? Where does that come from? What's your source? Give me some evidence, give me some information. And sometimes we're a little afraid to do that, especially if we're dealing with someone who's got a strong personality, very charismatic. We don't want to, don't want to upset them, don't want to hurt their feelings. But ask the tough questions. Another statement I really hate, it's proven. This is the proven formula, this is a proven system, this is questions to ask. Proven for who? Who's done it? Is it proven for you? Is it proven, for people who are exactly like you? Is it proven for what industry? Is it proven for my industry? It's proven to work at what stage of business? At the stage that I'm at, like what level? Is this, it's proven to work for level 3. Does it work for level 1? Where's the proof for that? Does it work for my market or my audience? A lot of times we hear it's a proven system, and it's a proven system for selling online marketing. It's a proven system for selling business coaching. Does not mean that it is a proven system for selling into other markets. More on that in a minute, but a lot of times this proof is very narrow. It's like, okay, yeah, it's proven because it worked for me. It's often what you hear. Sometimes it's, it's proven because it works for me and people in my industry at this particular stage, selling to this particular market. It's like within this narrow context, it's proven. And then it's kind of like the everyone know one. It's like, therefore it will work for anyone. And then it doesn't. So another kind of a flag in terms of listening for advice. This one, absolutely rampant. I did it, so you can too. This is all over the place. This is our celebrity influencers. This is the sell from the stage model. This is the look at my amazing success. This is people who brag about their own money and their own income and their own success with the, it's like, I did it, so you can too. That's the credibility. It's proven for me, so you can do it too. A couple of questions to ask here when you hear this. Are you like, when you see that person who is saying this, can you relate to them? Do you look like them? Do you have their personality? Do you have their strengths, their particular skills, their particular experience? This is why I dislike it when clients ask me how I do things, because I come with a personality. I have experience and skills. I have strengths. I have a technical background. It's like I'm good at wrangling computer stuff. I have a teaching background and an instructional design background. It's easy for me to build presentations. I've been doing public speaking since like 1998. Like a lot of these things, like that comes in the package that's me. So unless somebody has the same strengths and skills that I do, what works for me is kind of irrelevant. What we want to figure out is what's going to work for you. Same deal with the resources. Georgie was telling me a great story about this. Like, do you have the resources to implement the advice that you're being given? And I'm gonna let you tell your story there. I take up all the air.
Totally. Well, and I think even like when we look at, are we alike? Those kinds of things. It's such a great question to ask. There's definitely skills and things you can learn, but it might take you longer to get there. But it's such an important question to ask. And then often this resource question is such a really good thing, because we see people who, and this has been my experience with someone that I know, we see the model laid out in front of us, right? So in this particular case, it was, you do the free intro night at the hotel. Then you offer the free 3-day event at the hotel. And then from the 3-day event, you sell. Does this model work? Yes, we're not saying it doesn't work. The question comes down to, does it work instantly? Probably not. There's so many factors that go into making each piece of those work really well. So if you have the skills, if you have the personality, if you have the experience, if you have the strengths in public speaking, talking to a big group of people, running a 3-day event, putting your 3-day event together, all of those things come into that like skill set kind of category. If you don't, the results at the other end of that are probably not going to be as good as the person who's selling you that this is the model to do. Unless, the other question is, do you have the resources, so the actual money to be able to rent the hotel room for the intro night, rent the hotel room for the 3 days to then get you into your sales? And how many times can you do that? Like, how much cash do you actually have? Do you have the team there that can support you with your registration, helping people get seated, answering questions, all of those kinds of things? Are they volunteers? Have they been trained? Do you have the money to run those things? So this is I had a person that I know who was doing this, and the reality was he was great with speaking and that kind of stuff, but he didn't have the resources to be able to run these events enough times for them to pay off in the end. So he almost lost everything. So it's really important when we're looking at what kind of models that we're going to choose to follow is, does it work for me in my situation right now, right? Do I have the time? Do I have the money? Do I have the people? Are those resources actually available for me? And again, it doesn't mean that the model doesn't work. It just may not be the right time for you to implement that model, because maybe there's more skills that you need to learn, or maybe your resource, base just isn't there yet. So that's why, we bring these things up to just, again, just think, a little bit of think. And that's why we're giving you kind of these questions to help you go, oh yeah, because oftentimes we don't know the questions to ask, or we don't even think about it at all. It's like, oh, I like them, it works for them, I'm going to do it, because we want the outcome, right? We know we can help people, so I want the result. Looks like this is going to do it. So it's just taking that step back to, is this advice the right advice for me right now?
Awesome. Keep going.
Okay, and core values. I get on my soapbox a lot. This is a very strong opinion that I hold for myself based on my experience and what I have seen with the people that I work with is, core values are so, so critical, and really knowing what your core values are, how you make those core values actionable, and am I living into those every day? And when you're getting advice from people and strategies and, how to set things up and build things, does it align with who you really are at your core? Does it fit in these core values? Or are you having to take a little side trip? Oh, I'm going to have to kind of go away from that one to make this work. And then am I justifying making that okay because I want the result? And I really, really encourage you, when that starts to happen, to really take a look at it, because those core values are the things that make you who you are, that keep you in alignment, that help you stay congruent to the things that really, really, really matter to you. And oftentimes, especially when we have really, really great salespeople that may have some skills in manipulation that we aren't experienced to, we can kind of slide. And again, that's where we have to just go back to ourselves and be, to thine own self be true. You. If you're getting those signals, recognize them. But yeah, in my opinion, living in alignment with your core values every single day in every situation is going to help keep you on the path that you truly want to be on.
It's just so important. And for some of us, the truth is, a lot of what we're taught in sales and marketing, or advised to do in sales and marketing, just goes so much against our core values that we cannot pull it off. I've talked with so many people who have said that they've been advised to do things and they cannot do it. They cannot bring themselves to do that because it directly goes against a core value of something like honesty or integrity, you know, uh, respect. Like there's a lot of sales advice just really kind of flaunts those things. It's so this is something to consider. Um, give you an example here. One of the often kind of given pieces of sales and marketing advice is around kind of spinning stories, embellishing, stating the truth, but stating it in a way where that the audience is going to take it a little bit differently. Great example of this. I was at a networking event many years ago now, where this young fellow stood up and he was saying, like, I'm a business coach and I help entrepreneurs, get their business up to I think he said up to $5,000 or $6,000 a month, like really quickly. And my story is I made my first million when I was 22, and now I'm on a mission to teach other people everything I know about making money and building a business fast, right? And after this first time I'd ever seen him, and after the event, I'm like, dude, I'm really curious. It's like you have a great story. It's like, tell me, how did you make your first million by the time you were 22 or 23 or whatever? And he kind of blushed a little bit, and he visibly took a step back from me, and he said, well, actually, it wasn't in my own business. I was working for a company, and the company sent me into another territory to open up another branch of the company, and that branch made $1 million. I'm like, I didn't call him on it. I'm not that kind of person, right? But in my head, I'm like, he purposefully gave his introduction in such a way that he wanted the audience to take away the fact that he had made $1 million himself in his own business. And not only that, he wasn't even in his own business at the event. He was there selling for somebody else's business. So it's a matter of kind of hiding some of the information, making it seem like it's something like this is a slippery slope, and you have to decide where do I want to go with this? Do I want to tell half the truth and purposefully mislead people? Am I okay with that? Or is that bumping up against a core value? This, for me, one of my core values is honesty, and I just can't abide with this. For that moment on, and my husband was with me at the event, and it was like from that moment on, we referred to that person as Liar Boy. Like that was who he was. Like that's how we saw him, and it was just. And we see this all the time: partial truths, purposefully designed to have us believe something. It's like, on the face, is it true? Did he make $1 million? Yeah, I guess you could make a claim for that. You could explain your way around it. But the intention behind it was not to tell the whole story. It was to have us make our own story up around that with the limited amount of facts. It's like, there's a lot of slippery slopes in a lot of this stuff. It's often I look at it as like a continuum, right? Like complete and utter lying and slime on one side, and I'm going to hide under a rock and not do any sales and marketing on the other because I don't want to mislead people or get them to do something they don't want to do. And it's you need to find your place on the line, and often you need to make that decision on a situation by situation basis. I'm okay with this, but I'm not okay with that. Something to keep in mind. This one. If you're familiar with the story of Tom Sawyer, this one stuck in my brain when I was a kid because I thought this was the cleverest thing ever. Where he was supposed to whitewash the fence, and he sold all of his friends into doing the work for him. And we see this a lot with people that offer an opportunity for you to do the work for somebody else. And it's sold to you in a way that will benefit you. So like in the stuff, if you remember the Tom Sawyer story, he was talking about how awesome it was to be able to do the fence, right? And this is what we see. We see this in a couple of situations really spring to mind. One is, how about you pay me some money, then write a chapter of my book, and then help me promote my book so that it becomes a bestseller, and then you get to be a best-selling author. And then when the book comes out, it's only got one person's name on the front. Only one person is listed in Amazon, and that person is a bestseller, and you paid for the privilege to work for them. Now, there may be some benefits to doing that, but this is a case where you kind of step back and you go, okay, well, what's the truth from the fiction here? It's like, is this really making me a bestseller? Does that, am I a best-selling author? Really? Is this really going to add to my credibility, or am I painting somebody else's fence for them? something to consider. You may decide that this is a really good decision for you. You may enjoy the camaraderie and working in a team. You might learn how to promote and to market. You may get some accountability to do some writing. You get to see your name in a book, and you've written a chapter, you contributed, and you're part of a team, and you worked on a team project, and it was all great. And you may decide, wow, for these reasons, this is a really good decision for me, or this decision makes sense. Or you might step back and go, hey, hang on a second. It's like these things might be true, but those other things that they're saying, maybe not so much, right? Same thing with affiliate programs, selling somebody else's stuff for cash. This is a very, very, very common model. And I'm thinking about some people that have been very, very, very good at this, of getting people into a program and then turning them into a team of salespeople. And, one case, attending local networking events and not talking about their own business, but talking about their business coach's business and getting people into their business coach's 3-day event. Instead of promoting their own business. Or we see this in online affiliate kind of things, where people are offered significant amounts of affiliate commission to sell people into a program that they have just taken. And I remember a few years ago, a whole ton of people jumping onto the same affiliate. And this is when that everybody sends an email to promote the famous person's course was just getting started. And it was just like overnight, all of a sudden I open my email and I've got 20 messages from 20 different people, all selling the same thing, like the exact same email. And there was like this kind of blew up on social media. It's like, what the hell? Why are we getting all these emails about this one program? And then they're like, I'm pissed off. I'm unsubscribing to everyone. And it's like, all these people were selling someone else's program. They were losing their list, like they're losing their subscribers, losing credibility and everything because they jumped onto this particular promotion. And it's often seen as like, here's a quick way to make cash. Often, here's a way to make cash on the side, but it's a distraction from your own business. And all of a sudden, it's like, hang on a second, I'm being co-opted into somebody else's plan. So something for you to consider. Is it worth? And do you want your reputation tied to the person that you're promoting? Another question. When it comes to core values, do they have the same values that I do? Do I feel good about promoting this person, or am I just doing it for the cash? Something to consider. So now we're getting into it kind of deep. Have you ever heard the phrase, it's like taking candy from babies?
I love M&Ms with peanuts.
Yeah, so do I. Don't take my candy.
Yeah.
Here are a few things that we know that's true about purpose-driven entrepreneurs. Those of us who really care about people, about providing a great service. We care about our clients. We care about our customers. Our business has a lot of meaning. It's kind of clients that we work with. It's the kind of people that we are. Is that we're intelligent. We're always wanting to learn. Smarter than the average bear, maybe a little bit nonconformist, maybe not quite fitting in with the crowd. Skilled and competent in the thing that we do. Like we're great at our work. We provide really good value, and we know that. We're also ambitious, and we're on a mission. And this is not just about making money. It's not just about setting up a business. It's like, this is our little mission to change the world, even if it's a small part of the world. We want to make a difference. We want to help clients. And we want to succeed because we know that if we succeed, then we can share our good work in the world. And we don't let our music die inside of us. And there's a lot of that kind of really, really motivated. Like, we're on fire in a way with this. We tend to be really optimistic. You can't do this work without having a little bit of hope and assuming that it's going to work. And we're idealistic. We sometimes, a little bit naive in that way, that we believe that people are good, and we want to see the best in people. And, um, you know, we want to believe that people operate according to their values and that they were honest with us because we're honest with others. Um, like this is the kind of personality type. These are kind of people that go into purpose-driven businesses. Um, and when we first start out, we're naive. Like, we don't know about business, and because we're smart and intelligent, we know we don't know. So we're seeking out. We want to learn. We want to learn, and we want to get that information, and we don't know. Like, we don't know, and this makes us the easiest people to sell to in the whole entire world. We are sitting ducks for people who want to take all of this and use it against us. Um, and that's not to say that everybody that sells business coaching or business marketing or program or whatever is a bad person. A lot of people, there are some charlatans out there, and they are just giggling and cackling behind closed doors about how easy it is to take advantage of people like us. And they pretend to be someone that they are not, and they are only in it for the money, and they are using every trick in the book to get us to buy from them. And there are some people who are purpose driven like us, who are, they really do care, they really do want to make a difference, and they're using manipulative marketing tactics on people like us because that's what they've been taught. Now, this is me. This is me in 1997. This is me being exactly what I just described on the previous slide. Uh, I'm a computer programmer, software developer. I was smart. I'd been in business before. And I found myself sitting in an incubator, small business, how to be a small business owner kind of a group, and looking around. And when the person says, oh, only 1 in 10 businesses will succeed, I'm looking around and like, there's 20 in the room, I'm one of those, who's the other one? Like I had no doubt whatsoever in my mind that I was one of the ones that was going to succeed. I was completely optimistic, believed in my ability, my intelligence, and my competence. And I went out of business in 6 months. And I spent a lot of money on the way. I bought into, every person who came in to sell something. I bought graphic design. I bought legal services. Every week we got a new speaker. Every week Patty walked out having spent more money, never got any clients, but I learned stuff, and I spent a lot of money. 10 years later, I got duped for 30 grand, even though I had been in business, even though I knew a lot of this stuff, even though I'd been studying sales and marketing. I went to one of those 3-day events, and I walked out $30,000 poorer. So if this happens to have been you're in, I like to think, good company. And I highly, highly, highly recommend that everybody reads this particular book. You may have seen this around. You may have heard this fellow's name. He wrote this book, deeply researched book, about how marketers take advantage of people. He wrote this book as a warning. He wrote this book as a information to help people not get manipulated, not get sold. And what has happened is that marketers have taken this book and they've turned it into a handbook. It's become the Bible of how to do really effective marketing. There are, I believe, 7 things in here. Highly manipulative, psychologically researched ways to influence people. And when I read this book, I saw each and every one of them in play during that 3-day thing that I did, with the volume turned up to 11. It was, and that was a long time ago. That's probably 15 years ago now, and they've only gotten better at it. So I recommend reading it so that you know what you're getting into, and you will, some of the stuff in here is is really pretty innocent, and some of it is like, holy crap, really? Oh, I see how they're doing this. And a lot of times they're trying to hide it. They're trying to say that it's something that it's not. They're trying to tell you it's advanced learning techniques or something like that. It's like, nope, it is psychological manipulation. That's what it is. It has nothing whatsoever to do with learning. So I highly recommend reading this so that you will develop a better bullshit filter, and that you can make better decisions about what you do and the advice that you accept in your marketing, and decide whether or not you're going to take this kind of stuff and use it against people or not, or at least be aware that you're doing something when you're doing it. Another recommendation, this is kind of a shorter recommendation than reading this book, which is fascinating and disturbing at the same time, is Mark Silver is a business coach and Sufi healer. And he did a lot of research with people like me who had bought into high ticket programs that they couldn't afford. And he wrote this little handbook on how to avoid those tactics, because he gets up on the same soapbox as me with this stuff. Is when you care about your clients, you don't want to see them taken advantage of. So when you know what they're doing, like for me, I know what people are doing. I can see through it. Sometimes it's enough to just kind of set me off, because I'm like, yeah, I don't believe you are who you are. And sometimes I can overlook it and I go, okay, yeah, they taught you how to do this stuff, but I think you actually do have something of value, and I will buy it. It just makes you a better, more discerning client. It gives you some places to push back too, and to say, no, I'm not doing that. I know what you're doing. I'm not falling for it, right? Fast action bonuses. Sign up right now before the end of this call, end of this webinar, and you get it for half price, never to be offered deal again. It's like, no, that's bullshit. I'm not falling for it. I'm going to take a day to think about it, and I'll get back to you, and you'll give me the same offer. Or you can go and jump off a tall building, right? It's like, when you know, you're able to make better decisions. So I will summarize today's little rant here with 3 questions to ask when you're considering advice. Is this going to work for me? My personality, my values, my strengths, my abilities, my resources. Is this a good fit for me? I see myself doing this. Is this going to work for my business? Just because it worked for somebody else's business, you know, the number of times I've seen a presentation about here's how you brand your business based on what Starbucks did. It's like big business advice. Is that going to apply to me? Do I need to invest $20,000 in a visual identity for my corporation of one who doesn't have any clients yet? Like, you know, maybe it's not a good fit. Maybe I don't really need this kind of stuff, right? Maybe I'm not at the level. What level is my business at? Am I ready for this? Like for some people, that $20,000 branding package is exactly what they need. It's going to make all the difference in the world. Like, you know, a lot of times the advice, the information, the learning is fabulous if it fits your business and if you're at the right level for it, right? Is it going to work for my future clients? It's, you know, that is a Facebook funnel going to get my attract the professionals that I work with in corporations? Or maybe I should be doing something on LinkedIn. It's like, is this going to fit my clients? You know, are my clients on TikTok? It's like, yeah, is that going to work? Are they going to fall for this? Are they going to buy into this? Do they have enough time to watch the 4 webinar series? Are they going to opt into the funnel? It's like, does that fit how they buy? So these are some kind of guiding questions for developing your filter. And with that, I will step off my soapbox.
Very good information, in my opinion. Do we have questions, thoughts, comments? You know, like let's really have a conversation about this, because I do believe it's an important conversation to have, especially when we are new in business and we're just trying to get things going and we really don't know the questions to ask. We don't know the advice to take. There's so much out there I think by having the conversation, it kind of opens that up a little bit from that space of being able to learn and to get some information for sure. Use your brain in thinking sounds like a permission slip.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's also permission slip to push back and ask good questions.
Yes. You know, it's, and I love that you gave examples of questions to ask, because I think oftentimes we just don't know the questions to ask. So glad to hear Patty did exactly what I did in 2018-19. Had no idea what to do. Bought into almost everything offered, some okay at different levels, some not right for me and my future clients at all. And we've all done it. You know, I'm not sure that there's probably anyone in business who hasn't made some of these mistakes along the way, you know, in different forms, whether it's time, whether it's money, that kind of stuff. It's part of probably the learning and the growing. It's just oftentimes too, you see when we spend a lot of money for something, we also get really stuck in it because we've spent so much money in it. And so we're not often able to take a step back and go, wait a second. As Patty says, do I just need to make this sunk cost, and maybe sunk cost for right now? Is there something else I need to do so that then this thing I bought and spent all this money on is going to be more effective for my business and my clients and where I'm at? And it's just it's really a lot of really great learning experiences, a lot of, let me take this feedback, let me see. It can really help to build that space of being able to trust yourself, you know, and I know what's right for me, and I know I need some more information here. I know I need some help here. Who do I know that knows what I need? And it goes back to what we talk about with, you know, the Simon work. Do they believe what I believe? Are they aligned with my values? Is this someone I want to work with, that I feel understands where I'm coming from? And I think that's where those kinds of things are really, really important, because there's a lot of people that teach kind of the same sort of strategies, but it's really important to align yourself with the people who are aligned with you, especially in that values department, because it's just going to make it easier and smoother as you move forward with them, in my opinion.
And to state the obvious, in case you haven't picked it up, the information that we share is designed to build know, like, and trust with an audience for you to be able to see whether or not we are people that you want to listen to, take advice with, or work with. It's like we're in the same kind of business. You know, that's something to keep in mind too, right? It's, you know, we're all marketers in our own way with what we're doing. And by taking a stand, like when we talked about leadership, by taking a stand, it's like, I believe in this, I don't believe in that. We're making it easier for people to see whether or not our beliefs are in line with theirs.
Exactly. I missed this one. I've fallen into so many traps, and I'm a smart person. It's hard to move on without resentment.
Ask me how I know that. That $30,000 that I spent, I felt like an idiot really, really quickly afterwards. And what was interesting about the program is it was multiple courses, multiple events kind of thing. Is the first few that I took were actually really good, and I was happy with my investment at that point. And then I went to what was sold to me, included in my package, as a learning event, and I had to fly to Los Angeles for it. So airplane ticket, hotel rooms, and it was a 3-day pitch fest of people who'd been through the program and learned how to sell in the same way that I had bought the $30,000 program for. And it was just one after another, selling shit, like one after another. It was just a nonstop info freaking commercial, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I took this program to learn how to do that. And it was just like huge realization. And I felt like the world's biggest idiot. Like, I'm just like, I'm seen as a mark. And it's like I'm looking around the room and everyone's buying, they're buying and they're buying and the credit cards are flying. And I'm like, you guys haven't figured this out? We're being taken. We're in the middle of some freaking funnel. It's like, this is horrible. This is like this pyramid scheme of learning how to sell in a really shitty way. And it was just like, it was at that point, like this crushed my hopes and dreams. Like I'll never forget being in that room, being on the airplane back, going, Patty, how can you be a freaking idiot? How can you pay the equivalent of like buying a freaking car in a moment's decision and end up in this kind of situation? It's just like I woke up and I'm like, I can't be in this business. I can't do this work. I refuse to do what I'm being taught. I almost gave up. Like, but that was $30,000 worth of plus all the other expenses on top worth of lessons of I'm not going to be like that. Like it really made my own values clear, my own, like, this is how I'm going to be. And it's not going to be like that. I'm not going to do any of that shit. I will not treat people the way I was treated.
I think that's such a great example of core values in action, actually, because like honesty is a super strong core value for you, right? What's the verb that you have with honesty?
To be honest, to tell the freaking truth.
To tell the truth. And so often when our values get violated, that's where we have those responses. And those responses are very, very strong when it's a core value that's being violated so horrifically, where it's like, oh my gosh, I can't even be in this environment anymore because it is so against what I really believe and what I value in my life and how I show up and how I live. And then it becomes those questions where you get the feeling you're hearing the person talk and they're doing the thing, it's a violation, and literally it comes down to, if I buy this, is this in alignment with you always tell the truth? Yes or no? No. Okay, next. And so it's such a great learning. And I think that's where it's going to that space too, of being able to look at it. Okay, what's the feedback I'm getting here? What did I learn from here? I know I'm feeling this, and when we're feeling resentment and those kinds of things too, what's the belief that I believe about that's underneath this? Where does that fit with my values? And then how can I take this as a learning experience instead of getting so stuck in the space, which you easily could have gone to, right? Of, I'm never doing this. I'm not going to do this business. All these people are like that. I don't want to be one of those people. So therefore I can't do it. And it's so easy to get in those spirals. And that's where we create enough gap. We take the time to understand, what are the things that really matter to me? What are the values that I want to live my life by? Do I know what that looks like? Do I have the questions to ask? That helps us navigate these situations. But situations like these are fantastic for recognizing, ooh, there's something there that's probably a core value or really strong belief that I have that I need to look at and see how can I incorporate that with what I'm doing. Super great example. FYI. Okay.
$30,000 investment was good for something.
Right? Exactly. How do I, and then, what pieces of that would I use? Is there something I can, and what I learned from that was, I will never show up like that. I will never treat my clients like that. I will always, these are my big words, always, never, the bullshit words. and they are okay, right? Like totally fine.
Appropriate in that context.
Appropriate in that context. Exactly. It's fun to see new creative ways to do things related to marketing, but a Google search for something, for example, creative fun business cards, can bring up a zillion things. Do you two have a site or two of favorite sites or groups of people where you can see and sift through a few new cutting edge or fun ideas, just for fun and personal creative development? Good question. I don't think I actually have anything probably saved or a go-to kind of thing. specifically related to like marketing and that kind of thing. I like if you're looking for those kind of fun, creative business cards, there's those Moo cards. I think Moo has some interesting ideas on their site, probably. I think.
Possibly.
But I think this is also something really cool for you to look at. So if you want a business card, but you want a business card that's creative and fun. Creative and fun are probably some values that you hold on a personal level. So when you're looking for things like that, you're going to look for people who believe in creativity and fun, as opposed to maybe the person who says this is what a business card should look like. You need this logo here, you need this, your name here in this font, you need your name number here. And that's one of those spaces where you can go, I hear you. And the representation for me is I kind of need it to be fun and have a little bit of a creative side to it. Not for me. Next. I do want it to still look professional, and I want some fun and some creativity. Now this one over here is gone woohoo, way over the edge. Not for me. Next. And so we can start to use these things to look for the advice, the people, the businesses that are aligned with who we are. Because if you know deep down who you are is kind of fun and a bit creative, then I think it's so fabulous to represent that in how you put yourself out into the world.
I'll just throw into that too.
Yeah.
As much as creativity loves constraints, maybe a business card isn't fun or creative. What could you do that's fun that's not a business card, but would serve the purpose of a business card? So maybe you're giving out tie-dyed t-shirts instead of business cards, right? Or you're giving out lollipops with a sticker with your name and phone number on it or something like that. Maybe maybe you take it right out of the realm of business card.
Exactly. So many options. When I see gurus continue to sell in that high pressure way and I see more and more people buying into it, it's hard to say this is not okay. What I need to remember is it's not okay for me. Mm-hmm. Exactly. I also want to make sure I have a green climate impact responsible business, but I also really like the idea of having a physical component to my business, perhaps a physical book and or physical promotional item that is useful and fun versus being an all digital online business. Or maybe that is the best thing for the planet. Perhaps I am wrestling with some core values that conflict a bit. Totally. Even looking at having a print book that uses printed with plant-based ink and recycled paper. There are lots of sites marketing those things to me. I need to be able to filter companies promoting that they are offering green book printing. Some I looked at weren't all that green after all. Totally, right? And that's where you can get creative with different things too, maybe.
It's asking the questions, right?
Exactly. Yeah, what are your green practices? Yeah. How do you determine green? What are your sustainable components? Okay. Maybe your business cards have those seeds planted in them, and then people could actually plant your business card once they've entered it into their database, and then you can grow trees with them. You hear those cards that do that? Cool. Right? You could, once they read your book, they could turn it into wrapping paper. I don't know.
That'll work.
Right? Let the brain go crazy. I got sucked into a 3-day event and stayed because of the money I paid. I came out of it feeling bullied and degraded. Definitely a learning experience. Yes. And that's a really good point too. You can get up and walk out. It is perfectly acceptable. Absolutely 100%. You can get up and leave. That happened to actually an event that I was at with some clients. We were all at an event and they offered these coaching little things in the middle, to basically sell their stuff. And my client went in and had her session, came out crying her face off, felt totally humiliated and like everything she did was wrong and that she was never going to make this happen. Of course, I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I'm already not super happy with how this event's going anyway. So I'm like, well, I have a great idea. let's leave and go for lunch. Like, let's leave. So we all left. And the interesting thing was the next day I got a call from this coach. And she was like, hey, I didn't see you at the event for the rest of the day. She's, I've heard so much about you. I really want to talk to you. I really want to know what you're up to. And I'm like, you're right, I left. And she's like, well, what happened? I said, I'll tell you what happened. I said, my client went in to see you and she came out. And honestly, I really wasn't impressed with the way that interaction went. That's not how I show up or how I show up with my clients. So we left. And she was like, oh my gosh, you know. And to her credit though, she was willing. I said, I'm willing to have another conversation with you to explain different things, blah, 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 which we did, which was great. Yeah, and then she ended up asking if I would speak at one of her events, which I was like, I'm not really there yet, you know. But I think it's about those alignments. And when those lines get crossed, it is absolutely okay to walk out the door. And it's absolutely okay to have a conversation with someone when they ask you what happened, to say, for me, this is how I show up, you know. And totally fine if that's what you guys do and it works for you. For me, it doesn't.
And that, you know, that the I paid to go to the event and I stayed for the whole thing. One of the items in the influence book is something called commitment and consistency. And as human beings, we want to live up to our commitments and we want to be consistent to decisions that we make. And those events are specifically structured to get you to commit to staying for the whole 3 days in the beginning. And you often have to stand up and kind of pledge that you're going to be there, or tell your partner that you're going to be there, that you're going to show up, that you're going to play full on, that you're going to give it your all. It's consistent commitment and consistency, because they know it's going to go against your values to not show up the next day. Because I made a promise, I'm backing out on my promise. They're doing it on purpose. It's bullshit. And a permission slip to walk the hell out.
Exactly. I got Moo card with rounded edges that don't poke you, and I've gotten great feedback on them. I always tell my clients, I never want to annoy my clients unnecessarily. Nice. Yes, my questions do kind of reveal an aspect of a client I would like. Excellent points, Georgie. Another good point, Patty. Very creative thinking. Yes, the seed thing, that was part of my plan for a greeting card line. Awesome. Yeah, it's fun, especially when you're creative, right? It's those kind of things that I think even we've talked about probably a lot this week, is to, you know, it's okay to brainstorm and get creative and what really works for you. Experiment. What if? Kind of open up the filter and go crazy, and then you can bring it in a bit. You know, it's really getting clear about what works for you. Like, so important. We are 5 minutes over. Great questions, great conversation. We really love the interaction. You know, it's always fun when we can have a conversation and have a dialogue. And I think, you know, we're just kind of surfacing some of these things. So it's important to keep having the conversations. Right now, those conversations can continue to happen on our Facebook page for sure. At this point, we may have something.
Look for a invitation coming soon to a little community big house home business, I don't know, thing.
Groupie thing.
Comfy chairs, home office casual.
That's
online.
right. To put our container in, you know, and this is what we do, and this is what works for us. We try new things, we see how it works. There's certain things we're really averse to, and they were like, maybe we got to bring part of this in. How do we make that work for us? Right? Like, it's really important. I love being one of your groupies. We love having groupies too. We love having people to talk to. It's so good. You know.
Tell us what we're doing next week.
Yeah. So next week. Okay. Next week, Monday, we're going to talk about storytelling, how to incorporate that into your business. We're going to dive a bit into the hero's journey that everybody talks about. How can you use that? Where is it effective? Where is it not? The hidden power of honesty is Tuesday. So how do you say the things that are really, really important to you? Again, back to kind of this core value thing, and how do we say those things, and when do we need to say them? Wednesday, we're going to kind of dive deep into those logical levels of change, that Dilt's pyramid that I refer to quite a bit. So we're going to dive into that. Thursday, I will be interviewing Patty. So please send me your questions of all the things you would love to learn about Patty. And Friday, we're going to talk about really setting yourself up for success. So that will be our show next week. Thank you for tuning in today and this week. If there's any other topics that you have that you'd like us to talk about or cover, questions that you have, please let us know, because we want to continue delivering things that are relevant to you, what matters to you, and what's happening as you build your U-shaped business.
Bye for now.
Bye for now. See you next week. Have a good weekend.